All right, here we go. One more episode
yo.
of Rock and Ramble, bringing at you live the music, the legends, and the legendary time of the 80s. We're going to talk about the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, all the way up until today. We're going to talk about all of it, all the way through how it changes from what we went through all the way to what today is. Yeah, and everything through there.
We want to tell the folks to follow us on socials.
Yeah, 100%. You know? Please follow us on Spotify, YouTube. We're on Facebook and Instagram too, TikTok. Mm-hmm. Make sure you check out our website at Rock and Ramble. That's Rock, the letter N, Ramble.com. We're going to have some cool pictures, some swag. Everything's being built right now, so we appreciate everyone's patience. Just please follow us. Give us the love. Yeah. We're looking to have a good time with you guys.
And we're all newbies to this. You know, we're trying to get our bearings straight, guys, and so totally appreciate the support. And
we do 100%.
We're going to have some fun with this. So.
Yeah, we definitely are. So the topic that we're talking about earlier today, we were talking about was about the bands that are out there now that are basically can't do it anymore. Maybe the vocals are really bad. Maybe they're out of shape. Maybe they're just in a situation where they're using a lot of tracks.
Yep.
And that's a lot of people out there now. And then there's a lot of cover bands that are out there playing. And are cover bands better?
Yeah.
That's the big question we have, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of bands. We could talk about individual artists, and we can talk about bands, and there's a lot of people that are singing the tracks. I mean, Motley Crue is known to sing the tracks.
Well, we all know about the auto-tune, that whole thing, right?
100%.
So, you know, the one thing you got to say about the good old, you know, bands that we grew up with, the bands that we loved, is they're out there grinding still, doing it, but we know, you and I both know as singers, your voice just isn't the same. It's just not.
It's not. But would you rather see somebody struggle through? I think the biggest difference is somebody like Motley Crue, for example. Yeah. And I don't want to pinpoint people, but you know, we all know that Vince is there having a really hard time singing. He's gone through a lot in his life, and I can appreciate him continuing to try.
For sure.
But not being in shape and not doing the things that it really takes to be that singer at that next level is where it's difficult. Now, I can go see Stephen Pearcy of Rat, and I have no problem in seeing him, and I know he doesn't sound the same. But he's still out there doing his thing. He's still trying. Yeah. You know, he might still be boozing it up and having a good time. I don't know, but he's trying to take care of himself a little bit. Yeah. We just went and saw Tesla recently. I mean, phenomenal.
And Tesla's amazing. They put on a fantastic show.
Jeff Keith is amazing.
He could still sing absolutely great to a T the way he used to.
I will buy a ticket every single year to see his show as long as he can still do it, and as long as he's doing it genuinely. Yeah. I'm not going to pay $100, $200 a ticket to go see somebody play the tracks.
No. Well, and the thing too is, I mean, you know, I hate to pick on Vince, right, Motley Crue, but you know, the last time I went to the show, I mean, he's literally holding out the mic for the audience to sing. Yeah. And he's not even singing the full song.
That's just because he can't do it anymore.
He can't do it anymore, right? And you know, look, we all get to that point, right? And you just can't do it. You can't hit the notes and stuff. But don't fake it. Don't you know, give the fans less of a show than they deserve. That's
and at what point do you just say, I'm going to hang it up? Or what point does the band get another singer?
Right.
And if they want to continue, I mean, you know, Nikki Sixx is everyone's playing the tracks. It's not just Vince.
Right.
They're all playing the tracks. They're all having a hard time. And at what point? I mean, is it for the money? I mean, I understand. We were both musicians.
Sure.
We were both up on stage, and the adrenaline rush that you have being on stage is like nothing else that you could possibly explain to somebody.
No, it's amazing. It's nothing that you can compare to anything,
can't,
right?
especially when an audience is feeding back on you. Yeah. And you're still going to go see a Motley Crue show. And when you go see that show, you're still going to be out there cheering the band on, and you're still going to be cheering when the song comes on that you want to hear. Yeah. For whatever that's going to be. And of course, I think that feeds them.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. The thing that drives me nuts is, okay, if they know that, let's say they're on the downward slope, maybe can't sing as much, you know, hit the highs or whatever, or the band has run its course. If they're going to go out on a final tour, then let's have that be the final tour.
Oh, that's a whole nother story.
I don't want to see
six final tours.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
And Kiss is the biggest culprit of that, right?
Oh, they're the worst. Yeah.
They've done at least probably 7 or 8 final tours, and we're not going to come back and check us out and see us now because it's all about marketing.
It's a money grab. At that point, 100%. To me, it's just a money grab.
Yep.
And as a fan, like, don't insult me like that. Please, come on.
And Motley Crue is becoming in the same category, same amount of times that they continue to come back over and over again. The Who's coming back. They said they were retiring. Mm-hmm. A lot of these bands are doing that. They just continue to play. Right. You know, the Scorpions did it a couple of times too. Just continue to play. We're not doing a farewell tour. We're just going to keep playing until we can't anymore. And then when you know enough is enough, it's enough.
Right.
I saw Foreigner not too long ago. And by the way, Foreigner, it's a whole nother story, right? I mean, this is about a band that is none of the original members.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And that is crazy. It's none of the original members. but they sound amazing. And unfortunately, Lou Gramm, who wrote these songs, who was the vocalist of Foreigner for many, many years and sounded amazing, recorded some great tracks, legendary music. They are a band. It's not an individual. You can lose the singer in this band and you could still move on as they have.
Yeah, you could replace. Yeah.
Kelly has done a phenomenal job. And, to be honest, I would rather see Kelly Hansen sing. It's my personal opinion, but I'd rather see him sing because when it comes down to it, he puts on a better show.
Yeah.
He's a better showman. He's out there with the crowd, working the crowd, and singing the tunes just as good. And now even better than what Lou Gramm can do.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I'll tell you this much. When my wife and I, we went on the Monsters of Rock cruise, this is like 3 years ago now. A lot of great bands on those cruises, but the one in particular that we just love to see is Kix. Stevie just puts on such a great show, right? But they knew that, and they felt it, that the drummer had health issues and all this kind of stuff, and so they decided that they're going to run the course of that year, run through their tour, and they were going to call it quits, and they were upfront about it. And I respect that. It's like it's tough, but they were like, you know what, we've reached the end of this journey,
and hopefully they'll come back.
We're moving on. Well, we'll see.
Only time is going to tell.
Right.
But it seems most likely they probably won't.
Yeah.
And a great band, though. Great band.
No, Kix was a fantastic band.
There's a lot of artists I go see. Hey, David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth just played the M3.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of the tracks or any of the videos that are out.
I didn't, no.
He sounded great. I mean, look, the guy's in the 70s. He's older, is really old, right? And he's at a point now where he's still out there singing like the Rolling Stones are doing. And he's out there performing, in my opinion, I think he's doing a pretty good job. He has backup singers that are there with him. So this is another new thing that's been happening, where they have singers
just to fill it back,
to fill what he's not able to contribute. But they're on the stage. It's not like it's playing to a track. They're singing live with him. They're just assisting, and it still sounds good. And people are going to go and they're going to sell those shows out because David Lee Roth will sell out. It's been 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer, since he's played on a stage. People want it. They want the people before they die and before they leave.
Right. And there's that nostalgia factor. I get that. People, want to, appreciate and see the artists that they love, in growing up and the younger days and all that kind of stuff. To me, you just get to a point where if I'm going to see the show, I have certain expectations of the sound and, what I want to get out of the show.
You're paying money for it.
And you're paying money for it.
It's not free.
So, yeah.
And then, Stephen Pearcy's now playing with Warren DeMartini. So I've seen Pearcy play. I have my wife, friend of mine. They say I don't need to see Stephen Pearcy anymore.
Yeah.
He is getting to a point now where he can't sing as well as he did. But when you're going to a club and seeing him and you're paying $40 or $50 a show, people are going to pay it. Yeah. It's a night out. It's fun. You go have some dinner, some drinks, and you enjoy a rock show.
Yeah.
Warren DeMartini coming in is a big thing. So now you got 2 of the original members of Rat. They're doing a show at the Grove here in Anaheim, and I looked for tickets.
Why don't we go to that show?
Because the floor seats are almost $200.
Oh, Jesus! Wow.
And I know it's nostalgia. I know that DeMartini's coming back, and that's why I would really go to see that show one more time. It's kind of like when Guns N' Roses came back together, but the prices are just so expensive. They're getting out there and they're charging the venue a lot to do the show, and then the venue's got to turn around and charge us a lot of money to do the show. It's unfair, unfortunately. Some of these bands are the price to go see. AC/DC, $500 a ticket.
See, that's crazy. I mean, you're just gouging the fans at that point.
You really are. And then the worst part is you're paying $500 to see, for example, a band. Okay, let's be different. AC/DC sings live.
Yeah.
But you pay $300, $400, $500 to see Motley Crue. And then they're playing tracks to you.
I know. That's what bothers me.
So what you're paying just to watch them run around and lip sync to you.
Totally.
And that's not cool.
No.
It's not cool, nor is it fun.
As opposed to when we saw Jeff Tate, right, at the Coach House. Reasonable price on tickets, and what a great show he put on. I mean, seriously. I mean, playing
it was an unbelievable show.
The Queenstrike, Queen of the Reich, right? Everything off of Operation Mindcrime that he played. I mean, what a great show. And he still has the chops, man. He still has the chops.
My wife and I have seen Jeff Tate a couple years consistently in a row. Last year when we saw him was by far probably the best show I've seen in a long time, since I saw him probably in 97, 98 in the Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas.
Wow.
His vocals, but that just goes to show he's working on it. He's trying to make sure that he stays relevant, and that he stays in tune, and he stays healthy enough to be able to perform these songs. And that's a big thing. You know, when you're not doing that, it makes it really difficult.
Sure.
And you know, the price of the tickets we're talking a little bit about, and this might bring a little bit to some of the younger generation today. We used to go to one of the venues was Irvine Meadows. You remember it down here in Irvine.
Of course, yeah.
It's now gone. It changed to Verizon, but they've torn it down. Then they built the 5 Points and on and on. Tickets to get on the lawn, $5.
Yeah, it was
$5 to get in to see your concert. Some $10. You could go orchestra seats. I still have tickets of the orchestra seats, $28, $29 for an orchestra level seat.
Yeah. It's, I mean, obviously inflation.
But hold on, Frank. Is it really inflation?
Well, I mean,
because the amount of money we paid for a ticket then does not relate to what we pay today.
Right. No, absolutely not.
So $28 does not equal $500.
Yeah. But
$28 would equal $200 maybe.
Right.
So would I go see AC/DC for a couple $100? Sure. For $500, I passed on it.
No, absolutely, as you should.
And a lot of people went to it, and they're still going to keep charging tickets because people are paying it.
Yeah.
But I'm just not going to pay that kind of money. I don't think that my wife and I should go to a show. And let's just say we went with our wives. And let's say we went to a venue and we got some drinks before. And we got a hotel, a simple night out to have a lot of fun. You're looking at $3,000-$4,000 between all of us.
Oh, yeah.
To see a show.
That'll be a couple grand. I mean, I can understand if it's your choice and you want VIP and you want to upgrade and all that kind of stuff.
Sure, meet and greets.
That's different. But if you're doing, general admission, GA, or, you shouldn't have to pay that much.
It is a lot of money now, unfortunately. Yeah. So we comb around looking at a lot of club shows. And we've talked about doing some of these shows, the new bands that are coming out. We just looked at the one the Struts are playing.
Yeah.
We talked about going to that. Struts.
Love those
The Struts
guys.
are playing with Dirty Honey.
Yeah.
And the seats were $50, right?
Yeah.
$50 at the
admission on the floor, $50.
That's worth it 100%. We don't have to pay too much for the tickets. We're going to go see the show.
Yeah.
We can have whatever, drinks, dinner, whatever it's going to be, and it'll be a few $100 and we're happy.
Right.
So I just think it's a little too much. I think a lot of it's now, the other side, like I said, is all the tracks that people are playing to.
Yeah.
So at what point is it too old for somebody to stop playing? I mean, look at Mick Jagger. Well, he's still going.
How in the heck are the Stones still going at it, dude?
And
how are they still going?
And how many times do we think Keith Richards was going to keel over and die, man?
I mean,
he looks like death.
Seriously, but they're still going at it, and Mick's still cranking out kids and babies, and I mean, how are these guys doing it? I mean, he's got to be like 80, 81 years old. Or something.
He's in his 80s for
Unbelievable,
sure.
Dude.
And he's still out there. Although I haven't seen the Stones in quite some years, I do hear it's still a really good show, and he still puts on a great show, and he's still running around the stage and doing all the crazy stuff.
I'm telling you, all of them must have drank out of the fountain of youth, because how are they still up there?
Well, they don't look like they drank out of the fountain of youth.
Well, I know.
But they act like they drank out of the fountain of youth.
And they have the energy still, which is
They definitely do.
Definitely cool.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Wait, we need to do a little cheers real quick. Just a little pause.
Cheers to our episode here of Rock and Ramble. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Everybody.
And, I know we didn't announce it from the beginning. We do this regularly. We don't always announce like a regular show.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so and so. But I'm Ren. I'm your host.
And I'm Frank. I'm your co-host.
And we're just here, just having a good time, having some drinks, telling some stories.
Yeah.
And really, we're talking. This whole episode is going to be really about music now, music then, and when bands should really hang it up.
Yeah.
A lot of the younger generation is not going to really relate to some of these bands because they don't listen to as much as we do, maybe.
Yeah.
And there are some, like my kids listen to.
My kids too. I mean, we've gotten kind of got them into even at a young age the music that we like and all that stuff, 80s, and some even the classic rock. Zeppelin. My son listens to some of that stuff, so it's cool that they've been able to broaden their horizons. So. And
a lot of the bands now, a lot of cover bands are playing.
Oh yeah.
So why would I? Here's another thing. Why would I want to pay $500 to see AC/DC or Motley Crue when I could go see a really good, and there are some very good tribute bands out there.
There are.
I could pay $25 or $10 or $15, and I could go to a cool venue like the Garden Amp. It's been a really fun one we go to. Mm-hmm. You can see them even over at the Coach House. You can see them at House of Blues. And have a great night out and a lot of fun, and maybe even sound better than the original band. Is the Garden Amp when we went to go see that Kiss cover band?
Yes,
that was a good.
Those cover bands, they did a really great job.
They did.
They really did.
And when they
I was actually impressed.
When they try to play the part, then it's really a cool show.
Yeah.
Our friend Billy,
Yeah.
His girlfriend plays in A Whole Lot of Rosies.
Oh, okay, yeah,
And we went and saw him. And A Whole Lot of Rosies is, it's an all-female cover band of AC/DC, but they put on a phenomenal show.
Mm-hmm.
They're great musicians. They jump around and have a good time. They put on a good show. You're going to go $10, $15, $20 as ticket.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's all about now. Is it's really more about having a good time than really trying to pay an escalated amount of money to go something that might be legendary.
Yeah. Well, and I'll bring up a couple of the other bands that, like, when we were, again, back on the cruise, the Monster Rock cruise, we saw Iron Maidens, we saw Atomic Punks, Van Halen cover band. And let me tell you, they freaking rock, man. They put on a great show, and they looked the part, obviously,
as close as possible.
As close as possible,
sure.
Whatever. But they did a great job,
Oh, yeah.
So,
a good buddy of ours from the day, Ralph, back in Nightfall, who's now in Steel Panther.
Yeah.
He was in Atomic Punks. And to be honest, when I went to the show, if I closed my eyes, I honestly
Van Halen.
I didn't even know I was in the Van Halen show.
Yeah.
Everything from the way he talked, the way that he screamed, the way that he sang, it was just a great show. And they put it on, and they worked really hard at it. They did a really good job in doing it, and it was a fun show to go see.
Yeah.
Although back then it was a little cheaper to go see a concert when I saw them. But today, it's not. I know that my, we talked last time a little about like the Stagecoach and Coachella.
Yeah.
A lot of these concerts. My son went and paid, I want to say the pass to see Coachella was $650 or $700. Now, that's not horrible because it's 3 days of events.
Yeah.
So I can't say that's really, really bad. And I think he bought the bus pass and everything that came with it, so you didn't have to try and park. And you could drink all weekend, have a good time.
Right.
But when you go to a single show that's that much money, I think it's just a little too much.
Well, and that's why I think you see a lot of bands like teaming up and doing,
Stadium
co-headlining, stadium tours and all that stuff, because it just makes sense, because it's so costly that, they want to give a lineup that's going to be worthwhile for the fans, for the money that they're paying.
They had the lineup last year. They had the Def Leppard, Motley Crue.
Yeah.
This year, and Poison played too, so that was a pretty good lineup, all three bands. And Poison said that they're actually going to headline this year the tour because it's their 40th anniversary, and they're really a good band.
They put on a good show. I know a lot of people.
And a lot of people don't like Poison.
They don't like them because of the whole glam thing.
Well,
and
it's
all
not
that
just
stuff,
the glam, but Brett's never been like the best singer in the world.
No.
But he still sings well.
Yeah.
He still gets out there. He still stays in great shape.
They got catchy
songs. He looks phenomenal. They all are very healthy.
Yeah.
And to go see their show, I mean, I would go pay to see them. Now, of course, I'm not going to pay $500 to see Poison.
Right.
But if they had a $100, $200 show, I would definitely go and see them. And I would say, let's go because we're going to have fun.
Especially if they're,
and it ain't nothing but a good time.
If they got supporting bands that are cool, that or are co-headlining, whatever, then maybe you pay a little bit more.
Jack FM radio station used to have a lot of the Jack FM concerts once a year. They had like 10 bands, 15 bands, and they all played. Those were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They haven't had a lot of those lately, but those are a lot of. That's like a day festival. That's what I call it. Even if the band only plays 10 songs, 5 songs, and you rotate the bands through, it's always a fun time. It's a good time to do it.
I like those like day festivals too. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I do day drinking and whatever.
Day drinking and night drinking.
And night drinking too.
All the way into the morning.
I want to go really quick back to Stagecoach Coachella, right? Because I think this is really relevant for the younger generation. What I'm noticing more and more, and I want to ask you about this, is you're seeing more and more crossover, right? Or, other genres of music that are being included in these, typically, like, for example, Stagecoach Country, you would think, oh, that's just a country show. But no, I mean, there's all kinds of genres of music, so much so that my wife was telling me that this Stagecoach that just came about, one of the best bands was one of the final bands, I think, of the last night was Backstreet Boys. They did a reunion, and they put on a great show, supposedly. So it's kind of interesting, right? What are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting because back in the older times, right, you didn't have a lot of that.
No.
It was the genre
Yeah.
Right, so you listen to hair metal. You didn't see a speed metal band. You didn't see Metallica go out and play a Poison.
No, absolutely
you didn't
not.
See it.
No.
Now, the Monsters of Rock was a different one because it had a little bit of difference. It had Van Halen and Scorpions, similar bands. Kingdom Come, Doc, and they're all similar. And then Metallica played.
Yeah.
So Metallica was that kind of outcry but they were just starting. So I think that might be a little bit different. I like it.
Yeah.
I like the mix because, we talked about this last podcast. I like a little bit of country. I don't like a lot of country.
Right.
Now, if Stagecoach did, let's just say they had 20 bands, and 10 of them were country bands. That's a lot of country in that, and then you could do say 5 rock,
but to be expected,
and 5 pop
to be
bands.
fair, that's to be expected, right?
Yes,
Stagecoach.
Yes, but you could still put, even if you put 3 rock bands and 3 country bands.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, 3 rock bands, 3 bands, say pop bands,
a pop band or
and
whatever,
then the other 14 were country.
Right.
It would give, I think, more people would be wanting to go, and I also think that whatever the music festival's for, whether it's Coachella, whether it's Stagecoach, because they all have their own genre, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think it would bring more people to listen to other music.
Yeah. Although God knows those events have tons of people already. So,
They do,
because they sell out anyway.
They do,
so,
but I wouldn't go to I would go to Stagecoach if we went together, of course. But I wouldn't go to Stagecoach just because I wanted to go see country. I would go for the friends and the party. But if a couple bigger bands are playing, if they had, let's just say AC/DC was playing with them.
Yeah, it would make it a lot more
interesting. And let's just say Ozzy Osbourne in the venue. I would be more prone to go to that show and listen to the whole day of events to watch that than I would be if I was going to see, Jason Aldean.
Right.
He's not a great artist, but to me, he's not what I want to spend my whole day to get to, as opposed to something I might rather see, even if it's only one night.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And they have 3 nights, right?
And it's personal preference, but 3 nights, So it's but I like that mix too. I'm with you on that. I like to have that mix.
I'm all about the mixing of the bands coming together. I mean, look at Nashville, right? Nashville's got a lot of rock out there, and then they have the country that does it too. So you can go into a lot of different bars. You can see a lot of different music, and it's primarily country, but you can definitely get a good flow of rock music.
Well, in fact, the favorite place that we went to was Kid Rock. His place, because there's different floors, different levels and genres of music. So it was bitching. You went to one floor, it was like country. Next one was, rock. Next one was pop. It was pretty cool. So,
it was good.
Yeah.
I've never been out there.
Yeah, you got to go.
I'm going to have to go.
Yeah,
obviously. So
that could be on our bucket
list. The cover
list.
bands we were talking about a little bit to kind of go back into the covers. There's a lot of great cover bands that are out there. I have a good buddy that plays in Project UFO. Mm-hmm. Awesome band you should go see. A lot of fun. Last year for Father's Day, my son, my wife, a couple friends, we went to a Father's Day at the Garden Amp, same place we're talking about. Yeah. And there was a Led Zeppelin act.
Boston's got to be hard.
Yeah, there was an Alice Cooper act. A couple different acts that played last year. And it was a lot of fun to see it. The cover bands were great. Zeppelin's not touring anytime soon, obviously. Mm-hmm. Boston's all but dead. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people that aren't going to be touring. So seeing those bands, I think it's really cool. I see Tom Petty bands before. I've seen the Queen. Queen Nation's a phenomenal band.
What about Wild Child? They're still around, right?
I've never seen them.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law is big and heavy into the Doors.
Yeah.
I told her I'd go with her.
Okay.
I'm not a big Doors fan. I like him.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about their show.
But I heard he's phenomenal.
Yeah, I really have heard good things.
But you're seeing bands and cover bands of older bands. You're seeing bands that are dead or bands that are possibly washed up or towards the end of their career. And you're seeing a revitalized cover band coming out and playing it as long as they do it good, because there are some shitty cover bands that are out there.
Yeah, there are.
So, but here's a question I have for you. There's a lot of bands that are happening now of modern day artists. Mm-hmm. So they have cover bands. I'll give you a couple examples. Bruno Mars, Taylor Swift, Morgan Wallen.
All great.
What do you think about cover bands when the artists are so young and still so relevant?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I'm not a huge fan of it, only because the artists are still cranking out those songs. And it's, to me, kind of, I mean, unless you're like doing like a karaoke kind of thing or whatever, or at a bar where they're just mixing up things and throwing them in there. I can't foresee having a cover band specifically for Bruno Mars or Taylor Swift or whatever. But they're out there. If you look, they're out there.
I think they pack a pretty good crowd. To be honest, when the Morgan Wallen band, they were playing over here in the Irvine Great Park. And I contemplated going with my son and my daughter. Like I told you
that
before.
was at the 5 Points?
Yes. They're very much into country now.
Okay.
And I talked to them and said, maybe we would go. Now you go to see Morgan Wallen. You take your family to see Morgan Wallen, and you're easily going to pay $1,000, $1,500 to go see.
Yeah, well, he's really popular.
If you're going to see a show.
Yeah.
So and not that cost does play a lot of factor into it, but is it cool? Would it be fun to go see a Morgan Wallen cover band that's relevant and everyone listens to, and take your kids or go with a friend and just go to have drinks, pay $20 to get in, and listen to the music that you like. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, right? I mean, if you're talking about just from a cost perspective and just having some fun and listening to the music that you like, you know, regardless of whether it's a cover band or not, then yeah, you know, it's a fun thing to do.
And cover bands have taken, I mean, they are full circle right now. They are 100% in your face cover bands all the time. A lot of bars, a lot of restaurants were having cover bands. We had no cover bands back in the day. There was no cover bands. I probably can't even name you one.
You know, I can't either now that you're thinking about it.
There's no cover bands back then. And if there was, it was few and far between. And everyone's like, why do you want to go see a fucking cover band?
Yeah.
Let's go see the real band. And tickets were cheap enough that the real band was accessible for us to see.
Right.
When we talked about accessibility with the artists, just the people, the tickets, seeing them, meeting them, all those things are a lot different today. Yeah. And I wish it wasn't. I wish that the younger generation now could have that same kind of experience that we had and be able to go to a show, you know, and be able to not have to mortgage your house or save up 6 weeks of paychecks just to go see a show and to go travel somewhere to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's a little crazy. The cover bands that are there now, though, they're all over the place. And I'm guilty because I see a decent amount of the cover bands because I really do like a lot of the cover bands that are out there. I love the music. I think you come to a certain time in your life where you want to see good music. And if it takes me just going to see a cover band and enjoying myself for the night and having a good night out, I'm about the fun.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, a lot of cities are doing that where they have, you know, the summer concert in the park series.
They do.
And, you know, there's, I think the one, there's all kinds of cover bands that, you know, kind of run the circuit around, you know, the cities and all that kind of stuff. But there's the one that's called, I think DBS or whatever, the Journey cover band.
Yeah, it is.
And we saw them, and man, they put on a great show, really good. Man. I mean, you know, Stevie Perry is not an easy singer to replicate, and they sounded really, really good. So
there are quite a few cover bands out there that are really good too. I really like to see some of the bands come back that maybe some of the bands that didn't quite make it as much. Some of the bands like Bang Tango.
Yeah.
Some of the bands like Bangalore Choir, some of the other bands that we've seen back in the day, XYZ. A lot of these bands are great bands, and some of them are coming back, and I do like that, and it's a great show. You can go to a little club and see them for probably 20, 25, maybe $30. We saw the Bullet Boys.
Yeah.
That was a great show.
That was a great show. That was
They were amazing.
Yeah.
And
he sounded great.
I think he like resurrected his career because I saw him some years back and they were just at a point where they were falling off the table.
Yeah.
And they look really, really healthy. He looks really good.
That place
sounded good.
That place was strange though because you had the two different stages, right? And you had was UFO cover band, right?
It was Project UFO.
It was Project UFO.
Band, yeah.
That's right. And then you had obviously Bullet Boys on the main stage.
That
was different.
That's actually a girlfriend of mine's place.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
okay.
Stages.
Stages, yeah.
So if some of you haven't been to Stages, it's basically two stages in one venue. And what they do, and the reason they do this is because one band will be setting up while the other band's playing, and you have continual music. You don't have that downtime of 30 minutes or whatever.
I thought it was pretty cool. That was clever.
It's a good idea. Unfortunately, they haven't really found the niche of how to pack that place in on a regular basis. I wish that they would, and I'm not sure if it's the location.
I think it's the location, to be honest with you, because I work close to there. And
the crawling with cops?
No, but there's a lot of weed, you know, places.
What's wrong with weed nowadays? It's all legal.
It's just that's the kind of environment right there. It's kind of, and there's a lot of commercial buildings right there.
Sure.
So it's not really some place that you would think would have.
But what about Jezebel's?
Well, Jezebel's was kind of like
it was in the middle of nowhere.
It was in the middle of nowhere.
Bananas.
Too. Yeah,
the middle of nowhere.
Same thing. Yeah.
I mean, you could almost talk about a lot of the clubs back.
369 or Goodies,
that was in the middle of nowhere,
like a shopping center or something.
Yeah, it might be a little bit different, but still, these are venues that are in just wild places when they camp, and I don't know that that's really what causes it not to happen. They put a Bang Tango show on, not that many people.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Bullet Boys was decently crowded, but it wasn't packed.
It wasn't totally packed.
You'd think it'd be packed for the yearning of people wanting that music back,
right?
And unfortunately, I don't think it's just not happening.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the way the place is set up too, because it's kind of funky because it's the main area, right, where the two stages are, but then it's separated by the walls, and you got to go to the bar in the back, it's kind of funky the way it's set up. So
we saw at the NAMM show last year. We saw LA Guns, and LA Guns, a great venue. They only opened the venue. It's called the Grand Theater. It's in Anaheim, and I think they only open it for the NAMM show. I don't ever see any shows. It's a cool theater, and I don't know, maybe a couple hundred people. Just really, really
what's the
low
capacity on the place?
1,000.
Oh, geez. Okay, well, so
It was very small capacity and unfortunate because LA Guns is a great band to see live.
Mm-hmm.
They still bring it on, and they're doing it even better today than they've done over years. Some bands that I've seen lately are getting better and better with time, and I can appreciate it. I'll pay the money to see them, but going to shows and going to concerts is a big thing for myself, my wife. We love doing it. We have friends that do it too. You and I have talked about coming to a couple shows together.
Yep.
We're talking about doing the Struts and the Dirty Honey show. That's going to be a great one.
Yep.
I'm excited for that. And some other stuff. We talked about even taking a travel. We talked about maybe taking a travel to Phoenix.
And seeing Tom Kiefer there.
Tom Kiefer with LA Guns, ironically.
My wife's ultimate favorite.
and by the way, he still puts on a good show. And I see some of the critics talk about how he's not singing. That guy's voice is very unique. And I was lucky enough back when we were at the Coach House, they played the Coach House, to hang out and meet his wife and to meet Tom. And his wife talks openly about how much he works and how much at his voice and everything.
Well, and you know what he's gone through. The surgery, the multiple surgeries that he's
sure.
gone through, and then having to retrain his voice. I read up on it. And what he's had to go through to come back and sing at the level that he's singing, it's crazy. I mean, the dedication that guy has put in to get back to the level of the expectation of singing the songs, not only the new but the old, it's pretty crazy.
And doesn't that bring you back to what we're talking about with artists like Don Dawkins can't sing anymore?
Yep.
Vince Neil can't sing anymore. There's guys, and to be honest, I don't want to be saying anything bad, but Stephen Pearcy's having a hard time singing.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can, I don't know what his regimen is and what he puts his time into doing it. I just heard an interview on the radio with Paul Rogers. Paul Rogers had 3 strokes. 3 strokes, and he still just put out a new album.
I didn't know that he had 3.
He put out 3
okay.
strokes, 2 major ones, and after the major strokes, he put out a new album.
Wow.
He had to learn to teach himself to sing, to talk, to do everything again after.
Yeah.
And he's basically at a point now where he can go out and play shows and tour. They got elected into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wow.
First time in. First election, they got voted in hands down. And now they're talking about maybe doing some shows together or doing something at least for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And that's going to be really cool.
That would be a big thing for them, for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big 70s music guy. I loved, obviously seeing bands like Foreigner. I love seeing bands like Bad Company. Unfortunately, it's a lot of these guys are fading out. It's possibly won't want to see them anymore.
I wanted to bring up, because it came up on my feed, that you remember, speaking classic rock, remember that band April Wine?
Oh yeah,
remember that song?
Yeah,
I like to rock.
Yeah,
I heard that. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's pretty cool, man.
They unfortunately, I like April Wine, but I think they only have a couple songs.
Yeah, they had a couple, but they're memorable. Like if you heard them, that one, you know who they are. We
went and saw 38 Special. Not too long ago. 38 Special was like a great show. They're worth seeing. They're worth the ticket. They're worth the price.
Yeah.
At their age, they're still bringing it.
Still rocking
they
out.
They are. They're bringing it. And then they have bands that open up for them, one-hit wonders or things like that. And they're kind of cool to see. Those bands are always fun to have a good time to see them. But they can't be. I don't think April Wine can be the main show.
No.
Unless you're seeing them in a club.
No, they'd be obviously playing with other big bands or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But another good band that we saw, again, going back to the Monster Rock Cruise, because we've done it a couple times or whatever. But Night Ranger.
Oh, Night Ranger,
I got to tell you, bro, they put on such a good show. They did an acoustic set that was in like the main kind of atrium area, and they did Sister Christian. Dude.
Jack Blades is amazing.
Unbelievable.
He is. He's got a great voice.
The whole crowd, he paused at one point, they paused the music, and the whole crowd was just singing. And it brought chills to my arm. It was awesome. What a crazy moment.
We saw him in Vegas, Night Ranger with Stephen Pearcy. It was a great show. And then my friend had got some tickets to go over to the Grove, and him and I went. And we were right there on the stage. And man, it was just it was an amazing show.
Yeah.
They really do put on a very, very good show. And I would pay money to see them over and over again.
Yeah.
Michael Schenker's playing over there too.
Oh, he is?
Schenker's going to be a good show. Unfortunately, sold out.
Okay.
As he should. Hopefully, he'll do a second night. I have tickets to go see him up in Beverly Hills. We're going to go see him in Beverly Hills. That's going to be a fun show.
Where's that at?
The Saban Theater.
Oh, okay, Saban.
Yeah.
Okay,
Saban's going to be a good time. And we're going to get a hotel room, and we're going to stay out in Hollywood. We're going to do the Rainbow. We're going to have dinner over there.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it because you get the experience. Yeah,
you do. And I wish that they would have some bands that would draw some of the younger people out there, not just rock bands, but other bands maybe on certain nights, and open the Rainbow up and let some of these kids. Let them experience what we experience.
Yeah.
My son told me, he goes, I wish I grew up in your time.
Yeah. See, and that's where I think the kids would, they'd love to see that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So.
Sure. It's not the same. The nightclubs, the bands, everything's much different. You have to prepare and plan to go see whether it's a Coachella show or some sort of an event.
Yeah.
The nightclubs, the events that they have some pretty epic and big nightclubs out now. Similar to what we had long lines to get in, waiting to get into the clubs. Prices are a little more expensive now, obviously, than it was. Some are $20, $25, $30 just to get into the club.
And have you been lately? Because I haven't been lately to any of those clubs.
I hadn't, but we went for my wife's birthday. We went to Woody's Wharf, which after the night and dinner and everything, they ended up having a nightclub there.
Okay.
And we stayed in there because it was after dinner. We ended up staying at least till probably 12 or 1 o'clock. And we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. But when we walked outside to leave, there was still a line of people to get in the place.
Wow.
And they were charging, I want to say it was like $25 or $20 a person, which is, it's a little costly.
Yeah.
But I guess to go to the club and instead of going to steep $500
well, you're still
for a
saving
show,
a lot of money. Yeah,
you are saving
sure.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then there's the getting down there, Ubering, how you get into the show.
Yeah,
all those things.
The whole thing. There's, just not just the tickets, getting in, and all that kind of stuff. Transportation, you name it, lodging, whatever it is. So.
Yeah, we saw in Vegas. We saw Jack Russell, but second to last show we saw. Oh. How amazing is
Before
that?
he passed, yeah.
He passed away. It was not only was it a cool show, but Lisa was not a big fan of Great White. Mm-hmm. So we were going to see Stephen Pearcy in Night Ranger. That's the reason we went out there. And when we went out to the show, we found out he was playing the night before. We ended up getting some tickets. Ironically, the damn show, we talked about it.
Yep.
We were backstage for one of the shows, the Ronnie Montrose show, the Remembrance show. And I ended up meeting a guy by the name of Doc, who happened to be the sound guy for Jack Russell.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And we ended up, I go, man, I'm going to see Jack Russell next week. He goes, well, I'll be there. I said, well, I'll check you out when I get out there. We drank and talked all night. But, we got pretty belligerent. We got pretty drunk. So I wasn't really expecting him to remember me when it came time.
Right.
And I ended up showing up at the place, and as he was walking past, I said, Doc, and he comes, Red, man, I haven't seen you do.
So apparently you must have left an impression on him.
Yeah, he remembered and he said, man, I can't believe you
not, man. You're tall, dark, and handsome, bro.
Oh my God, we're back to this again already, Frank Garfield, man.
I'm not going to let that go.
And I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. But we saw him, met him, went backstage afterwards. He took us back there, hang out with Jack, took pictures, had a great time. Jack's a great guy. Was a great guy, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Rest in peace.
Yes.
He was a great guy, loved his fans, would never tell you no to talk to you.
And we talked about this. One of our cover songs that everybody loved that we did was Down on Your Knees.
Yep. That's a great song.
And it was fun to do that.
The only one you could have done better would have been Mr. Bone.
Yeah.
Mr. Bone.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Mr. Bone is one of the greatest
I love
songs
that song.
ever.
Such a great groove.
Yeah, and our first band, we actually covered a couple of UFO songs, which is funny. We're talking about UFO.
Yeah.
But like I said, a friend of mine plays in Project UFO. It's really a good band, man.
Sidebar, on UFO, there's a book that I just finished reading, Pete Way's autobiography, and it's called A Fast Way Out of Here. And that's a great read. There's so much stuff in there. I didn't realize that, when you talk about people in rock that were crazy, that were deemed to be like the craziest, everybody thinks of Ozzy, right? Oh no, Pete Way, even Ozzy admitted Pete Way was out there, man. But it's a great read. If anybody's interested, it's called Fast Way Out of Here. Really, really cool book.
If there's a band that you like, and maybe you're of the younger generation,
yeah,
maybe you don't, you not just dig into the band. Don't just listen to the music and put the song on.
Yeah.
We were at a wedding this last weekend, and they put on Bon Jovi, right? Living on a Prayer.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was singing it. All the kids. These are all the young kids. Knew all the words.
They probably
to
recognized it, yeah.
They recognize it. But they don't probably know the history or the story of what Bon Jovi is, where he went through, what he started. Mm-hmm. And they have tons of... You can Google search. You can look on all things like Netflix, Prime. Mm-hmm. You can find stories of these bands. You can find stories of Sunset Strip. You can find stories of all the partying, the fun that they did. the legendary things that
the
we're talking about.
debauchery that we talked about.
The tons of stuff. And you guys really should watch it because it's going to bring it first circle. You're going to understand what we're talking about and why we're so passionate about these things.
Remember they did the Decline of Western Civilization.
Yep.
You know,
Chris Holmes
in
the pool,
classic in the pool, with
literally drinking
what was it,
a gallon of vodka,
that was insane.
A whole bottle of vodka,
insane,
unbelievable.
And by the way, we saw him on the cruise too. He's doing his own solo.
Isn't
gig.
it? I think it's Madman or
something like that.
Yeah. So I heard they're okay. How were they? Did you see him?
Yeah, I mean they're okay. I mean his voice it's gruff, but music's good.
He was never the singer.
But he was never the singer. It was Blackie, right?
And unfortunately, though that band will never ride again. No. I don't think Blackie and them will ever get past it. But then again, we said that Slash and Axl would never get past it.
Well, never say never, I guess.
And they're out there now doing it. Yeah. So,
but then again, money talks.
it does to some extent. Skid Row will never get together, as far as I understand.
Well, I think a lot of times, you go through different stages of your life, right? And as you get older, you realize, shit, we had a good thing. What happened? Why did we go through what we went through? And it's like a marriage and all that kind of stuff. But you kind of have a reckoning and say, you know what? We did have a good thing. So I'm not saying recreate it, but can we do something where we come back and civilly get together and put music together that the fans love?
And those are all shows.
Why won't we do that?
Those are all shows that people want to see. Shit, I'd put my band back together.
Yeah.
I would get back on stage and do it again if I could reconcile with the band members. I mean, we had a falling out towards the end of it. Some disagreements. It's, being in a band is a dysfunctional family.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's the biggest part about why people don't understand. Oh, you're having a good time. You're doing this. Yeah, but the arguments that happen is just like having a sour wife.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's just not easy to get past. And sometimes you have to say, when's enough?
Yeah.
You have so many other things going on in your life and so many other things happening. So you finally got to make the decision of, are you going to move on or are you going to stick with this?
Right.
And we both chose to move on. We talked about that already.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here with you. We're here at the podcast because, we're enjoying some of our old memories and old times that we celebrated together, maybe separately, not together exactly, but in the same genre, same time, same music, same radio stations, same clubs, everything that we did and how much fun we had doing it. And I wish nothing more than for my nieces, my nephews, my daughter, my son, your kids, everybody to be able to experience some of that.
A little bit of it, at least.
A little bit of it.
Yeah.
We went to that Father's Day show. My son went with me. My daughter went with me. And we drank and we cried because it was Father's Day. Oh, it was just, and the listening to music, and he was, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs, and then he's like, Dad, you got to get the band back together. You can still got it. And all this. And it's those things that it's a lot of fun to have those days and that kind of time. And I wish we could do that regularly. Now, could we do it with cover bands? We can. But I really would like to see the youth get into a lot of this movement and bands. Don't just dig into the popular ones, dude. Don't just dig into the Guns N' Roses and the Bon Jovis and the AC/DCs, because those are the ones everybody knows.
But they're the popular ones too, though.
That's okay. Go a little deeper.
Yeah.
Get the bands that are playing local. Ask your mom and dad or your uncle and your aunt, hey, what show's a good show to go see? What band would you recommend for me to go see?
Yeah.
Go see LA Guns. Go see the Bullet Boys when they come out. You're going to have a freaking great time.
Yeah.
I can promise you that.
In fact, it's kind of cool, like, we were doing when you go down the list of shows that are coming up at the Coach House. There's a lot of like oldies but goodies that play still at the Coach House, and it's kind of cool. I mean, the vibes at Coach House is different, obviously, because it's a dinner theater kind of thing.
It's a sit down.
It's a sit down thing, so it's kind of different. But nonetheless, you get to see some cool band. We just saw Jackal, and ran into your buddy. Was it
Ron?
Ron, right?
Yeah.
I tell you, Jackal put on a great show, man. It was fun. It was
There's
really,
still
really
some
cool.
bands that can bring it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. Go see those bands. Go see the bands that can still see it. Go see the bands with your friends. Go see a concert for 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks.
Yeah.
Those are the shows that you really want to go. You want to support. You want to make sure that you're supporting all the bands out there. And so the music, it's going to come back around.
Yeah.
We talked about the bands that are coming out now. We talked about all the Gunshines and the Dirty Honeys. We talked about the Black Coffee. We talked about the Feel Band and Greta Van Fleet and all these bands that are out there now that are still performing.
And we love listening to new stuff.
We do love listening
great.
to it.
It's awesome.
But these bands sound like the Led Zeppelins and the Bostons and the Bad Companies.
There's the heavy influence in the music.
It's a heavy influence.
Sure.
So my hope is that the music will come back around one more time. I don't know, though, if it does, if you're going to have the actual Oh, we got the alarm back there
What
going
in
on.
the world
What
is
is
going on here?
man?
The alarm's
we
going
hate
on.
to say it, but the alarm's going off in the background.
I guess it's
And
time. We got to wrap it
I'm
up.
trying to talk loudly so nobody knows and nobody hears it.
Time to wrap it up.
It's a time to wrap it up. But hey, do make sure you go out there and check out these bands, man. We're going to be out there. Come ask us, dude. Get on the thing and ask us what's a good band to go see. Maybe we'll go see a band with you. You never know, man.
Love
and
to
maybe
see
we'll
you
get you a
guys out
ticket.
there.
Just come on out. But you know what? Make sure that you please subscribe to the podcast, man. We really need the assistance, the help. We want to see you guys listening and enjoying the show.
Yeah.
Give us some feedback, some comments. Make sure you put it on. Let us know if you really want to, more what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And we're
tell
down
us,
to
tell
doing
us
it.
about some topics, and we'd love to hear back from you and hit those topics
So
too.
don't forget, we're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on Spotify. We have pages on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure that you go to Rock and Ramble. It's Rock and the letter N. Ramble.com to make sure you get some of that merchandise when you come out. We got some really cool shit coming out. I can't wait to get it. We're going to have some stickers and some stuff, different stuff coming out. We're going to pass those things around. So if you see us, make sure you get one. We really appreciate you guys listening to the show.
Definitely.
And
Brother Ren, always appreciate you, brother.
Always the best. And let's start with a cheers and end with a cheers, my friend.
I love it.
Until the next one.
All right.
Very, very soon.
Cheers, all.
We're out.
Late.